You think you've got my number figured out? A motive born in drought and brevity. And if I'm not the soul of your design, I blatantly decline your remedy. Don't box me in, don't, or I'll leave. I'd rather be a dreamer, I'd rather be free, I'd rather be a leader, I'd rather be a queen, I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer, I'd rather be clean, I'd rather be a poser in a magazine, I'd rather be pretty much anything else than your machine. Wasn't always just a single shade, a palette full of gray in reverie. And I can burn it brighter than the sun. I have a golden gun inside of me. Don't box me in, don't, or I'll leave. I'd rather be a dreamer, I'd rather be free, I'd rather be a leader, I'd rather be a queen, I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer, I'd rather be clean, I'd rather be a poser in a magazine, I'd rather be pretty much anything else. And if I fall behind, ignoring all the signs, if I lose the fight, I still rage against the night. Don't box I'd rather be a dreamer, I'd rather be free, I'd rather be a leader, I'd rather be a queen, I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer, I'd rather be clean, I'd rather be a poser in a magazine, I'd rather be pretty much anything else than your machine.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Wednesday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Wednesday. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Thank you all for being here. Welcome, Michael Hasser, Moanep, John Lithium, Mayhem Hippie. Welcome, everybody. I heard the sub sandwich guy is going to trial. Hope he gets acquitted or has been formally charged. I should say. Oh, what happened there? You can give me the TLDR on that one. FG, welcome. Thank you all for being here. The usual disclosures. Thank you all for supporting the channel. You guys are what makes this channel go. Thank you. If you want to support the channel, there are many different ways of doing so. Keep doing what you're doing, liking the stream, share, subscribe, do all the awesome stuff. If you want to support the channel directly, check out the merch store. Hit the exclamation marks, tip, Substack. Join the Discord, folks. We do movie events. And you can keep up with the channel that way. And check out my show on this space on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Let's get started, folks. I'm gonna skedaddle here. Skedaddle on out of here in a orderly fashion.
This fall, the Supreme Court will decide whether or not to take up a case that could lead to the downfall of same-sex marriage rights in multiple states. And when I say multiple states, I mean most states. And if they agree to hear this case, it'll be on the docket for the next term. And if they rule in the way that we all expect them to, that means that same-sex marriages could be banned in your state by this time next year. Is this a guarantee? No, it's not. But is there cause for concern? Absolutely. So I'm going to talk about the details of this potential case and what it would mean for same-sex couples going forward if the Supreme Court does the unthinkable. So the case that they're being asked to take up is the case from Kim Davis, the thrice divorced defender of marriage who was jailed and fined for not issuing marriage licenses to same-sex couples in Rowan County, Kentucky, even though she was obligated to do so as county clerk in 2015 after the Supreme Court struck down bans on same-sex marriages. Now, she claims that the Supreme Court's decision to overturn bans on gay marriages violated her religious liberty, but as a public official, she wasn't being asked to officiate gay weddings or endorse them or wish them congratulations. She was simply being asked to do her fucking job and follow the law. Public officials cannot cite their religion as a justification to deny marriage licenses to interracial or interfaith couples.
Yep, exactly. Exactly. And if you can't handle that, then you shouldn't be a public official. Period, full stop. Yeah, and this is the base or the pretense that they want to use to overturn Obergefell. That this is the case. Clarence Thomas has in the past made comments that perhaps if the right case came forward, that they may revisit this same-sex marriage. And here we are. This is a case. I don't know if it's the case, but I'm sure that if anyone would be interested in overturning this, it would be Clarence Thomas.
And an atheist couldn't deny marriage licenses to Christian couples if he or she was a county clerk. As county clerk, your job is to follow the law. Kim Davis did not do that. And she thinks that she's a victim because she was punished for breaking the law, and she thinks that there should be special rights, a carve-out for homophobic public officials like her. But she's not just asking to let religious public officials discriminate against same-sex couples in this case. She is explicitly asking the Supreme Court to overturn Obergefell v. Hodges, which is the first time that this has been asked of the Supreme Court since Obergefell in 2015. And for those who don't know, Obergefell is the decision that struck down bans on same-sex marriages in all 50 states. It was a monumental case. And the reason why this particular case involving Kim Davis is so important is because she is in a unique position to actually get this done, since she does indeed have standing. Think about it. So a regular Christian who wants to overturn gay marriage, they have no standing. Like, you can't just say, I don't like it, therefore it should be banned. Like, you have to demonstrate harm because of a particular thing. And the only Christian in the country who can say that they've been harmed by same-sex marriages is Kim Davis. She can actually say, yes, I've been negatively affected by the prohibition on gay marriages. You know, it's true. She did it to herself. It's not our fault that she chose to be a bigot and break the law. Nonetheless, you can see why a court would agree that she has standing. So I've also got to point out that her timing here is impeccable, because if you're opposed to marriage equality, then now is the time to strike for a number of reasons. First and foremost, public polling from Gallup shows that support for marriage equality has declined overall, including among Democrats temporarily before rebounding in 2025. But among Republicans, support has plummeted by 14 points since its peak in 2022, when marriage equality had majority support even among Republicans. Now, a second reason why this is the time to strike is because there's been a renewed legislative push to ban marriage equality at the state level. ABC News reports, so far in 2025, at least 9 states either introduced legislation aimed at blocking new marriage.
That's actually wild. You know, amid all the stuff that's been happening, it's hard to keep up with what's happening in some of these states. But this is blatantly unconstitutional. She's a huge hypocrite. Yep. Ladybug, welcome.
Marriage licenses for LGBTQ plus people, or they've passed resolutions urging the Supreme Court to reverse Obergefell at the earliest opportunity, according to the advocacy group Lambda Legal. On top of that, Trump's judicial appointments are fundamentalist extremists with a history of open bigotry towards queer people, and they've ominously played coy whenever Obergefell comes up during their confirmation hearings, which means that they're against it. I mean, when Amy Coney Barrett and Kavanaugh were asked about Roe v. Wade during their confirmation hearings, they would simply say that's established precedent, and they would imply that they wouldn't strike it down. But here, these potential confirmations aren't even pretending that they wouldn't strike down Obergefell. And this, to me, is an indication that the broader legal landscape in this country is shifting on this issue. So as much as it pains me to admit this, I think that the anti-marriage equality bigots have a lot of momentum on their side, the most that they've had certainly in a decade. And Davis is asking the Supreme Court to treat Obergefell in the same way that the court treated Roe, by returning this issue to the states. And her legal team gave a wink and a nod to the concurring opinion in Dobbs, written by Clarence Thomas, where he notoriously said that the court should reconsider Griswold, Obergefell, and even Lawrence v. Texas. Now, for those who don't know, Griswold established the right to privacy, which created a penumbra of rights that led to the right to abortion, contraception, and even Loving v. Virginia, which established interracial marriage rights, which is how Clarence Thomas was able to get married to his disgusting insurrectionist hog wife, Ginny Thomas. And it also led to the legalization of homosexuality, which was still illegal in some states up until 2003. But Thomas said, no.
Just to be clear, that was 22 years ago. Sammy. Hey, Mona sent me. Welcome, welcome. Kirkenstein's Monster, welcome.
Let's go back. Let's revisit all of these cases because, you know,
Like, I was alive for a minute and a half while we still didn't have legalization. While gay people didn't have rights.
foundation was pulled apart with the Dobbs decision, and now he realizes
How you doing? I'm okay. I'm hanging in here.
we can revisit the precedent for the other cases that built upon the precedent established in Roe. So the question is, do the other conservative justices want to do the same thing? Do they want to follow Clarence Thomas down this path? And ABC News reports, quote, Justices Brett Kavanaugh and Amy Coney Barrett seem wildly uninterested. Maybe Justice Neil Gorsuch too, said Sarah Isgur, an ABC News legal analyst and host of the legal podcast Advisory Opinions. There is no world in which the court takes the case as a straight gay marriage case, Isgur added. It would have to come up as a lower court holding that Obergefell binds judges to accept some other kind of non-traditional marital arrangement. Now, I don't know if I'm as optimistic as she is, but what she's saying is important because she's saying if the court chooses to hear Kim Davis's case, then they could potentially sidestep her request to overturn the precedent set by Obergefell and just rule on the fundamentals of her specific case. It's also important to note that she did previously petition the Supreme Court for a writ of certiorari before, and they rejected it. They shot her down. ABC News continues, Davis first appealed the Supreme Court in
Hermit Horologist, welcome. Was live when he couldn't vote. Yeesh.
2019.
Like, just let that sink in, chat. You know, to say that, oh, we've been a equal democracy and egalitarian society for quite a while is not the case. It's just not the case. It's just not the case.
Seeking to have the damages suit against her tossed out, but her petition was rejected. Conservative Justices Thomas and Samuel Alito concurred with the decision at the time. Quote, this petition implicates important questions about the scope of our decision in Obergefell, but it does not cleanly present them, Thomas wrote in a statement. So that's some cause for optimism, at least, if we're looking at the silver lining. But again, the Supreme Court, their legitimacy is at an all-time low. So why not? If you're Clarence Thomas and you want to overturn same-sex marriage, but not interracial marriage, of course, why wouldn't you do it right now? You strike while the iron is hot, and if they don't take up this opportunity, then they might not be able to do it again. So, you know, on one hand, if they don't take this up, then maybe this issue is settled, at least for a while. But if they do, then that's a different fucking story, right? Now, also, Kim Davis is applying for writ based on an entirely different question. Now she is asking them explicitly to revisit the merits of their Obergefell decision, which would be much more enticing to somebody like Thomas and Alito, who would love the chance to strike down same-sex marriages, but don't necessarily give a shit about Kim Davis herself. Now, Davis has kind of fine-tuned her legal argument and cited Roberts, who dissented in Obergefell, and she's arguing that marriage equality should be overturned because at the time, the Chief Justice himself argued that same-sex marriages posed a threat to religious liberty, and she's saying, I'm proof that that was indeed the case. He's right, therefore you should strike it down. So we don't know if they're going to take up the case. All we can do is guess. But if you see the headlines this fall that the Supreme Court is taking up a case on marriage equality, that's your warning that there is a very high chance that Obergefell will be struck down by a 5-4 decision at the very least. It's probably going to be 6-3, but 5-4 at a minimum. The question is, what happens to gay couples who are already married? Do we lose our marriages? Well, as Axios reports, more than 24 U.S. states have trigger laws that would limit marriage equality if the Supreme Court overturned its legalization of gay marriage. 32 states have constitutional and or legislative bans on marriage equality, currently unenforceable because of the 2015 Supreme Court ruling. This means about 60% of LGBTQ plus adults live in states where access to marriage equality would change if Obergefell were struck down, according to the movement.
Yeah, 32 states. 32 states out of 50.
Advancement project. And as you can see from this map, a strong majority of states would indeed start denying licenses to same-sex couples again if Obergefell was struck down, an exception being Oregon, because in 2014 our state Supreme Court determined that our constitutional ban on same-sex marriage conflicted with the US Constitution. So I'm assuming that the law would just revert back to the 2014 ruling where the constitutional ban on marriage equality couldn't be enforced. But even if that's the case, they should still repeal this from the Constitution, because it's kind of a fuck you to taxpaying Oregonians to have our Constitution tell us that our marriages aren't valid, even if they can't enforce that. That amendment, by the way, was adopted by a ballot initiative back in 2004, before I was even old enough to vote, and our governor is a married gay woman. So I'm not necessarily too concerned about Oregonians, because I think that our rights are going to be protected. But who I'm really concerned about are the gay couples in red states, because going forward, if Obergefell is overturned, same-sex couples in these states will not be able to get married in their states. But there is one major catch. So since Biden signed the Respect for Marriage Act into law, it would protect all existing same-sex marriages. And even if you live in a state that doesn't issue licenses to same-sex couples, well, you can go get married in a different state and come back to your home state, and they're still required to recognize your marriage because of the Respect for Marriage Act. So this means that even if the Supreme Court does the unthinkable and overturns Obergefell, your marriage will be protected. But if you're not already married, you could subvert your state's ban by traveling to a different state, in the same way that women are subverting state abortion bans by traveling to different states.
Yeah, but I mean, like, that's kind of already messed up, right? Hey, Surfs Raid, welcome. Welcome, surfers. Welcome, everybody. Bad Lefty. Saris, Nadia. Though I think some states consider trans people to be their target genders, sex offense charges for gay sex. I don't doubt it.
Should you have to do that? No, because that's completely unfair. It's a constitutional right. And that's a really far trip if you're in the deep south, and you'll need resources to travel. So poor gay couples might be...
Yeah, like, I mean, it's the same thing, right? Like, if only like 32, if 32 states ban, I don't know, gay marriage, ban abortions, ban X right, then you just don't have that as a right. It's a privilege at that point. A number of southern states are still arresting and imprisoning and putting on sex offender registries for gay sex, and it's routine for lawyers doing pro bono work to spring them out of prison. There are enough in need of getting sprung from prison that they're largely dropping them off of sex offender registry on the floor. Yeesh.
Cut out from marriage if Obergefell is overturned. And you know, if you're in this predicament, you need to pay really close attention to the news this fall, because you may want to get married earlier rather than later if you're in a committed relationship, because you might lose that chance in your state if they do what we're expecting them to do, assuming they take up this case.
Yep.
And odds are Republican attorneys general are going to try to punish couples that get married out of state, which could trigger a whole new legal challenge that leads to the Respect for Marriage Act making its way through the system and ultimately getting overturned by the Supreme Court as well. Now, if that were to happen, then we're talking about the worst case scenario where marriages would be invalidated in red states. That would be awful. That's only if the Respect for Marriage Act is repealed or struck down after the Supreme Court strikes.
Yeah, I mean, like, but that's kind of law, right? That's more difficult to overturn. I mean, I suppose he's talking about the worst case scenario. But yeah, legislation that was adopted into law by Congress is kind of it's kind of more difficult. But yeah, the concern, in my opinion, would start if or rather or rather the alert would go into higher gear if the Supreme Court takes up the case, right? Because it's not going to be like it's not going to be decided in one day. But if the Supreme Court agrees to that decision to take up the case, at that point I would be even more concerned. 11 states were illegally enforcing sodomy laws last time I checked.
Down Obergefell v. Hodges. So we're talking worst of the worst case scenario. And if that happens, it would take us back to the disastrous pre-Obergefell status quo, but it would be worse these days.
Yeah, so the party of small government, by the way.
Because there's a lot more married couples now than there were before Obergefell. So before Obergefell, there was only about 232,000 gay couples, but now there's more than 823,000, and 1 in 5 of these couples have children, according to a statistic ABC News cited by the UCLA. And there's more than 1,000 federal and state benefits that come with marriage. So among queer couples, this would create this patchwork where there's variation in marriage equality, where the advantages and statuses of same-sex marriage would vary greatly depending on which state you're living in. Now, again, this is the worst-case scenario that only comes to fruition if the Supreme Court decides to overturn Obergefell, and then the Respect for Marriage Act falls as well. But I think that if Obergefell is overturned, it is very likely that the Respect for Marriage Act falls next.
I mean, maybe, but like just the overturning of Obergefell is pretty bad. In the event that they do decide to go that route, I mean, it's pretty freaking bad.
Obergefell is kind of a domino that could set off that potential legal scenario, and we need to be prepared for that possibility. As Gabrielle Perry put it, get copies of birth certificates and custody for your children on paper. Make sure life insurance policies, property that you own, bank account information, passwords for things, powers of attorney, etc. are all set up and understood. In other words, hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. There's also the question of healthcare. A lot of gay couples receive healthcare through their spouse's employer, and they would likely lose that if their marriage was invalidated. So we're talking about returning to a very, very, very dark time in American history where same-sex couples were treated as second-class citizens. And that is so sad to me, and thinking about it honestly makes me feel a little bit emotional because, look, as a gay man myself who's been married for 8 years, I've been with my husband for nearly 15 years. Like, I'm going to be in my 40s
years.
In a couple of...
Wow, 15, congratulations. I didn't know that. Like, I knew he was married, but I didn't realize he was with his partner for 15 years. Nice. How's it better for LGBTQ plus people, women in Catholic, and women in Catholic Ireland?
Years, and by then I would have thought that society would have all moved on to the point where this was a settled issue and we wouldn't even have to think about this, but that's simply not the case, unfortunately.
Well, yeah, I definitely knew that Mike, he's talked about it multiple times, but he can't be old, okay? He can't be old, because if Mike is old, then I refuse. I refuse, because me and Mike are around the same age group, and I can't abide. I can't abide. The worst case scenario is overturning Lawrence v. Texas and Congress passing a federal sodomy law. Yeah, I don't even want to think about that, because I mean, like if the Republican Congress had the chance and had the ability, they absolutely would, Nadia, 100%, and that is scary. And just to be clear, that doesn't affect just queer people. That affects everybody. Okay, like they want to be all up in your sexual business. Of course, it's mainly targeted to queer people. but that's for everyone. You guys remember that creepy ad that released recently, where it's like this creepy Republican who is in the bedroom with a couple, and like the message was like, "Oh, I'm just your Republican, and now that I'm in charge, and I can be in your bedroom." That's exactly what this is. Has been married for 14 years. Is old. Nice. 14 years? Wow. Another round of applause. GOP repressed freaks. 100%.
Nationalist fascists have taken over the fucking country, and the progressive future that looked inevitable in the 2010s might have just been a mirage. I don't know what the future has in store for any of us, but what I do know is that all of our rights are under attack, and if we lose them, it's going to be so much harder to get them back. So pay very close attention to what happens, because this is a pivotal moment in history.
Yep.
Mom.
100%. It all comes down really to whether or not they decide to take this case. That's what we're gonna hang on. I've been kind of monitoring this story in the background. So that's I think that the real this is already like the preliminary like kind of like the orange flag if you will. But if they take this case, that would be the they would take I would raise that red flag if they take this case. We've been talking a lot about what's been happening in DC, and surprise, surprise, the authoritarian wants to extend his emergency powers. I mean, if this is exactly the Nayib Bukele playbook, right? He has been extending his emergency powers time and time again. And Trump is now wanting to do the same thing. I'm pretty sure things are headed towards my worst case. I mean, it wouldn't be surprising. It's not what I want. But the reality is you might be right, Nadia. The reality is you might be right. Especially given the environment that we live in right now. You know, I don't know if things can change in the midterms or whatever. But the way things are looking, it's not good. It's not great. It's not good. Trump wants to extend federal control over Washington police because he only has 30 days from for these quote emergency unquote powers. Epstein, though, yeah, we're never seeing the light of day on that one. Never. The president said on Wednesday today that he would ask the Republican-controlled Congress to extend federal control of the district's Washington D.C. police force beyond the 30 days, escalating his campaign to exert presidential power over the nation's capital. Trump also asserted that any congressional action would serve as a model for other U.S. cities. So, I mean, this is kind of the plan here, right? We've been talking about this for a minute and a half now. This is the plan. Now, just to be clear, on paper, not that it matters, but technically, these specific emergency powers are only applicable in Washington, D.C. Like, he can't just go to any city and take over their police force. That's not how this works. However, we live in bizarre times where up is down. We live in bizarro world where up is down, down is up. So I don't, you know, we have to consider the possibility that the rule of law is not going to be respected. We have to operate under the assumption that what normally would stop someone like Trump, or would normally stop someone like a rogue president, these things are not in place right now. And if they are, then he's just gonna muscle his way through anyways. So I think that this threat is very real, and is very, in the sense that he believes that he can do this. And nobody seems to have been successfully stopping him. Nobody has been very successful at stopping him so far. I had no plans other than to suffer this capitalist hellscape in this meat prison, and to cause mayhem and strife to the government for their health. The CIA has worked hand in glove with all Latin American dictators. They're following a well-practiced playbook for installing a dictatorship. Yes, we have quite the history on that. There is no rule of law anymore. There's only the Führer principle. Trump also asserted that any congressional action could serve as a model for U.S. cities. For other U.S. cities, he has previously threatened to expand his efforts to other Democratic-run cities, such as Chicago, that he claims has failed to address crime. So, in other words, the pretense is, oh, these Democrat-run cities are crime-ridden and whatever, even though crime is at a continuously dropping. He thinks that is a legal pretense for him to come over. The Republican president's extraordinary moves in Washington are reflective of how he has approached his second term in office, shattering political norms and legal concerns to test the limit of his office's power. I mean, that's one way of putting it. Another way is that this Republican president is moving in a breakneck speed towards fascism, and is unambiguously moving in an unambiguously asserting his authoritarian regime. The power, he's asserting the power of his authoritarian regime, and he seems to give zero F's about what the Constitution says, zero F's about what the rule of law is. It's just now toilet paper. It's not. It was not clear how Trump's takeover of Washington's Metropolitan Police Department could be replicated elsewhere. Again, technically, no, it can't be. But that's not the point, right? We must remember that we're not operating under normal times. We're not operating under normal times with normal people that would respect the rule of law. We're not operating with people that care about the Constitution. We're not operating with people that care about human rights, clearly. The DOJ lawyers bringing suits for him are routinely lying in their pleadings. Judges are calling it out in their rulings, but sanctions are needed. Yeah, I mean, like, but that, yeah, that's clear. That's very clear. But, I mean, what are they going to do about it, right? Like, if they keep lying in court, who's going to jail for this, right? Because if I lie in court, right, if I have a lawyer and they lie in court, I'm pretty sure they would find themselves in a pretty big pickle. So, like, what's... you know... Nothing's stopping them, is my point. They lie in court. They openly defy court orders. Uh, uh, It would definitely make it harder, at least, if they started disbarring any attorney going near Trump. That would sufficiently disincentivize the complicity. Right, exactly. Like, hey, this is obvious lie. This is an obvious lie. Like, you either, you either come correct or you're gonna be disbarred, right? Like that, point blank. The Heritage Foundation was the CIA front used to coup and partition the USSR. They're doing the USA now with different goals. Cecil would have been better. At least we would have get ghosts and giant marshmallows. I mean, I would be okay with that. Bipedal meatbag, welcome. They always disbarred Rudy. Yeah, the one guy. But that wasn't even like, that was just the state, right? The state of New York disbarred him, right? The same reason, essentially, we don't see Congress impeaching and removing the supposed check, for which ample reasons have already been supplied many times over. Yep. In seizing control on Monday, Trump took advantage of a federal law, the District of Columbia Home Rule Act, that permits the president to do so under emergency circumstances for up to 30 days. There is no basis for Trump to attempt similar takeovers in other cities, according to John Fishwick Jr., a former federal prosecutor in Virginia, who said that Washington represents a unique situation. Right, but like, again, we know that. We know that. We know that technically he can't do this. We are, in my opinion, past out Dred Scott. It will only get worse until and unless it hits a wall of opposing equal or superior force. Yep. Trump also announced on Monday that he was deploying 800 National Guard troops to the city, a tactic he employed in Los Angeles in June when he mobilized thousands of Guard soldiers and U.S. Marines over the objection of state and local officials in response to protests over his immigration raids. Separately, hundreds of federal officers and agents from more than a dozen agencies have fanned out across Washington in recent days. Trump has painted a picture of the U.S. Capitol as a city griped by a wave of crime, pervasive homelessness, despite both federal and city crime statistics showing that violent crime has declined precipitously since a spike in 2023. Trump said on Wednesday that the city's crime statistics were total fraud without providing evidence and that the public would soon see a big change in the figures. Yeah, sure. Whatever. Just make stuff up, when reality doesn't agree with you, when reality doesn't agree with you, just make your own. There, for any of you who have watched the old Mythbusters show, there in the intro to the Mythbusters show, Adam says, "I reject your reality, and I'll substitute my own." Of course, in cheeky, in a tongue-in-cheek way, but this is literally what he's doing. He's just supplanting reality. The Dems are rolling over so fast for the Christo-fascists they make the SPD in 1933 look like Ivan Drago and Rocky IV. Heat, how's it going? He's got to find a Sharpie real quick. Yeah, gotta put the right statistics. The ones that agree with me or make me look better, or make Biden look worse, or whatever the reality needs to be. It doesn't matter, Peak television. It really was. As a wee lad, I used to like watching Mythbusters. The U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi told Fox Noticias that the officials were looking into whether the city statistics were manipulated. Ah, yeah. Gotcha. The office of Washington Mayor Muriel Bowser, a Democrat, declined to respond on Trump's latest comments. Bowser has sought to strike a diplomatic tone in recent days, also knowing that the violent crime has hit in the city has hit a 30-year low. I mean, like this is the problem, right? Like what diplomatic tone can you have with fascism, right? This isn't like this isn't the time for that. This is not the time for that. And the same goes for this point here. As big city goes, Washington remains more dangerous than many other cities based on its homicide rate. Well, that doesn't determine how dangerous it is, right? Like a homicide rate isn't the only factor. And furthermore, we're acting as if this is like the point. The problem here is that I assume that this data is correct, but that's not the point. You get what I mean? Like this is meaningless. Because Trump isn't like talking about actually solving crime, you know. It's not about like the crime. It's about show of force. It's about authoritarianism. It's about showing and concentrating power. Time for a good finger wagging. A strongly worded email from Hakeem Jeffries incoming. These stats come from cops and courts. Yeah, I mean, no doubt about it. But even if this is true, the fact that we're entertaining this is silly because this is shame on Reuters for this, for even acknowledging this because like this is not the point. Because we don't put other cities under emergency declarations, right? Like you don't see local government. You don't see local government implementing their emergency powers because the homicide rate is whatever that year. And what cop shop downplays crime stats, they want more funding. Oh, yeah. No doubt about it. I'm just saying, like, if this, I'm just gonna take this as what, you know, we this is the data that we have. But even then, like, even if we take this on face value, that's not the point. None of this is the point. We're not talking about, actually meaningfully addressing crime. We're just talking about Trump using BS pretenses to consolidate power. Plus, if this was really about solving crime, we would start talking about what could possibly bring crime rates down. He is kind of touching on that. If you were actually interested in handling crime, not that it's going to take away all crime, but you would probably provide more social services. Trump was complaining about the level of homelessness in DC. Is he providing them homes? Is he providing them with food? Are we opening up new governmental programs for homeless people? No. No, he told them to get lost or be arrested. You have three options. Either you get out of DC and go somewhere else. Either you put yourself in, you intern yourself, or you end up in prison. None of those which are addressing the core issue. Social scientists will tell you that a lot of factors play into crime rate, but it's not a silver bullet solution that we need. Poverty is a big one. Yeah. And Trump has yet to provide any type of policy related to poverty. So again, the point being is that while this may be true, I'm just going to take it as on face value. It's not the point. The point is that Trump wants to consolidate power. He wants to flex his muscle, and to say that, like, oh well, he's within his authority to do this. Oh well, we're going to work side by side and take advantage of the federal resources is wild. Sent over Twitter, where we all know that's where the homeless people meet. True. He gives zero shits about the poor. Yep. Well, this technically is the right's idea of the right anti-poverty policy to see the human cost, the symptoms as the problem itself. Yep. Correct. That's definitely a power grab. Yep. Chief Pamela Smith has framed the federalization of her department as a collaborative partnership with federal law enforcement agencies rather than a direct federal takeover, and she says she still answers to Mayor Bowser. I mean, sure. More than 1,450 law enforcement personnel were on patrol in Washington. Yeah, and who does she, like, if the federal authorities say, like, you need to put resources here, then, like, the mayor has to put resources where the federal government says. So I mean, it's kind of a distinction without a difference, right? It's a distinction without a difference. Like, yeah, sure, you may report to the mayor, but like if the mayor is forced to move law enforcement resources to wherever the federal government says, I mean, whatever, it's the same thing. It's the same thing, really. It's the federal government that is going to pull the strings if they say you have to go here, you have to go there. And just stop being poor. That's right. Super easy. Have you considered being born rich? Should have thought of that before being born. I volunteer. More than 1,450 law enforcement personnel were on patrol in Washington on Tuesday night, a White House official said, including 30 National Guard troops, 750 police officers, city police officers. The official said that White House expects a significantly higher guard presence on Wednesday night, which is today. The efforts has resulted in 130 arrests since August 7th, including 43 on Tuesday. The official said the charges include one homicide. Oh my God! Remember when I told you Remember when I told you yesterday that I bet that out of the 2 dozen arrests that they did, one of them was going to be homicide. $33 firearm charges, which I don't know what that means. 23 immigration charges, which again, like, that's really crime. We're gonna talk about crime with immigration charges. You probably mean civil offenses. I think the judges will just hound out appearance tickets. Yeah, should have been born rich. I have a feeling the homeless won't be asked to leave, but sent to a facility. Yeah, she did. She said that they have a choice. She said they have a choice whether they can check themselves into mental facilities, which unclear. Like, do we even have that many mental facilities, or any facilities at all for like mental health? Where's the funding for extra for making sure that we have enough to care for mental health? Where's that funding? Oh wait. Not enough beds. Yep. Wait, they took our guns? Hold up. My brain is melting. During the same period in 2024, the Metropolitan Police Department arrested 364 people in total. Police data shows, including traffic and liquor law violations. Oh man, as well as murder, prostitution, carjacking, assault, theft, burglary, and robbery. Wait a minute. So they're saying that there's a third of a difference. All of this federal surge. And they made like a third of the arrests that police made normally without this emergency power last year. Maybe tied in with ice camps. I don't know. There's a gigantic shadow prison system in the U.S. used for civil commitment. So how do we square that circle? Like, why did we need the emergency? You see, like this is exactly what gives away the game, right? Like, why are we talking about, these they're really bad murder rates and whatever? But really, like in the same time last year, they made more arrests, like 3 times more arrests. So again, I ask, why is the emergency power needed? Metropolitan Police Departments and the FBI on Wednesday both referred questions seeking more details to the arrest of the White House, a highly unusual deflection that signaled the White House outsized role in overseeing the law enforcement crackdown. Asked about Trump's call for congressional action, the offices of the House of Speaker Mike Johnson and Senate Majority Leader John Thune, both Republicans, pointed to social media posts on Monday expressing support for Trump's actions. Cool. Any legislation to extend Trump's control over the police department would likely stall in the Senate, where Democrats can use procedural rules to block most bills. Trump told reporters on Wednesday that if Congress fails to act, he can declare a national emergency to extend the 30-day limit, although legal experts expressed the skepticism. Yeah, sure. I mean, yeah, it's a national emergency, but also it's only... I don't know. You can't just lock up someone for sleeping on the street. To be institutionalized, you have to be a danger to yourself or others. Yeah, I mean, sure. Perhaps in normal circumstances. But, we can't count on that. I'm amused by my cat watching cat TV about 2 inches away from the screen. Should I move her? Nah. Leave that kitty cat, leave that baby right where she is. Not much of a reader anyways. It's okay. She can listen. I'll snap a pic. There's nothing about the president extending past 30 days unilaterally, said Claire Finkelstein, a University of Pennsylvania law professor, said of the Home Rule Act. If the 30 days are up, that's that. Yeah, but like again, will he abide by that? I don't know. I had a mother who attempted suicide. Even with that, it's hard. Oof, that's rough. Sorry, walking stick. Might have a vagrancy law, but otherwise, no, they can't. The Bushmaster. He's a kitty magnet. That's true. I have 3 of them. Let's actually test that to see if that's even true. Okay, we're gonna do a test. Oh, your hair is fire, by the way. Thank you. You can't just log up people because they speak Spanish in a Home Depot parking lot either, but yet here we are. Yep. Alvin! Alvin, come here. Alvin, come here. Let's see if he even listens. Alvin, come here. Alvin. Alvin. Alvin, come here. Alvin, come here. Alvin. Come here, Alvin. Alvin. Been here, but I was lurking. Thank you. Tell Chad he's looking. Chad is looking for him. Well, Alvin seems to be pretending that he doesn't hear me. Buddy's in the cat house over here, wondering what the racket is about. He just stuck his head out from the cat condo and was like, what is going on here? Maybe I can see if I can do something here. Just real quick before we move on. How do I do this? Video capture. Yes. No, I don't want that. I want OBS. But what if I want... Oh, I see. I've only got one cat right now, but she hates humans. Understandable. No, I guess it doesn't work that way. I'm trying to see if I can get my phone. Let's see. That's very cute. Well, I guess I don't have Droid Cam anymore. What is this? Docs? Well, anyways, I was hoping that maybe I could do something with this. I had a way of my cat knows my instructions, ignores them. Yeah. Most of my cats don't like anybody but me. I mean, like, the boys are pretty sociable. Like, Buddy and Alvin are pretty sociable. Vaquita just wants to be on her by her on. She's just vibing. She's on her own thing. Let's see if I can try it. I'll give it one thing. One shot. I have all girls and they're all brats. Devices. Features, maybe. Hmm. Another kitty? Yeah, there's 3 cats in total here. Now, can I catch this window? Because if I can... Window capture. No, that's phone. Maybe I can cheat. Hold on. Let's see if I can do something. Oh, that's you guys. Oh, ha. Okay. Check it out. It's a very rudimentary way of doing it, but look, that's you guys. And right there is Buddy. There you go. There's one. Cat cam. Yeah, it was an impromptu cat cam. Because it didn't really work the way I had in mind, but whatever. It kinda worked. I have now enough information to hack every account you own. Cat cams are the best. Well, I hope you use that information for good, Seth Evans. I hope you use those powers for good. Did we derail the show? Yeah, I vote for an ADT cat cam. We need a dedicated cat cam, like an actual way of doing that. I mean, I do have the cat condo next to me, so that could be a way of doing that. I vote for an ADT cat cam. We'll see if I can try to make that happen. Yeah, we did derail the show for the cat, but it's okay. Yeah, only ever. All right, folks. Let's put the train back on the tracks. We've got a couple, or maybe a couple more articles here. I think we should do this one. Judge says ICE can't hold detainees at NYC facility unless it improves conditions and give them sleeping mats. Imagine that being the bar. A federal judge on Tuesday said he would block the Trump administration from using a federal building in New York to hold immigrants facing deportation unless it reduces the number of detainees and improves conditions at the site, including by providing sleeping mats and hygiene products. U.S. District Judge Lewis Kaplan issued the temporary restraining order after holding a hearing earlier on Tuesday. A government lawyer conceded in court that those detained by Immigration and Customs or ICE at the Manhattan facility did not have access to certain services, including sleeping mats, in-person legal visits, medication, and more than 2 meals per day. The holding facility in question, located inside the 26 Federal Plaza building holding in downtown Manhattan, has been at the center of widespread criticism for pro-immigration advocates who have denounced conditions faced by detainees as inhumane. Videos released last month showed detainees at the facility lying on the ground without mats or beds. I mean, like, that's bad and that's pretty inhumane and disgusting, but nothing compared to what's happening in Texas and Florida. Engine number 9 on the New York Transit line. ICE has said the site has fewer services because it is not designed for long-term detention, though government data indicates some detainees have been held for days there. In a statement Wednesday, the Department of Homeland Security denied allegations of substandard conditions in ICE's detention system and vowed to appeal the order. Yeah, I mean, we all have, the photographs, the testimony, the first-hand witnesses. So, yeah, I don't believe it. Any claims of subprime conditions at ICE facilities are categorically false. Yeah, no, that's just not the case. That's just not true. That is 1,000% not true. The Federal Plaza, said Tricia McLaughlin in the statement, the Federal Plaza operates as a processing center, brief intake for illegal aliens, and then transferred to ICE detention center, meeting national standards for care and custody, which are in most cases better than facilities in which detains Americans. Yeah, okay, sure. Sure. So what you're saying is like the facilities, the detention center facilities at, I don't know, like Florida and Texas, I suppose meet the national standards for care and custody. Is that what we're saying? Because that's just not the case. Unless of course we think about it from their perspective, in which the way these people see undocumented people, undocumented immigrants, or just anyone that looks brown, or anyone who's, quote, not American, white. Unless we see it from their perspective, which they don't think that those people are people, in which case you can kind of see how they would feel that way. That's not a brag, exactly. Also, subprime is relative when prison conditions are already pretty brutal. Yep. And they're claiming that that's better than that. Last week, the ACLU and other advocates filed a lawsuit against ICE over the 26th Federal Plaza holding facility, alleging that detainees were being held in unsafe and unsanitary conditions without access to basic necessities, including hygiene products. The advocates said detainees only received 2 inedible meals daily and were denied access to unrestricted calls with lawyers. As soon as you get a prison number, you become less than human. Yep. On Tuesday morning, Justice Department lawyer Jeffrey Ostricher said the government did not dispute that detainees in the facility have only received blankets, not beds or sleeping mats. He confirmed detainees get 2 meals a day, not 3, and that the toilets for detainees are inside the same area where they sleep. Ostricher said the facility does not permit in-person visitations due to its layout, and noted the government did not dispute the claims that detainees lack access to medication. So, yeah. I mean, the same thing's happening in most prisons, too. I mean, yeah, the prison system is pretty bad. No doubt about it. In his order later Tuesday, Kaplan placed restrictions on how many people ICE can hold at the Manhattan site, prohibiting the agency from using holding rooms with a floor area that is less than 50 square feet per detainee. Kaplan said ICE could only hold people at the facility if it offered them regular calls with lawyers, clean bedding mats, know your right notices, access to medication, soap, towels, toilet paper, toothpaste, and feminine hygiene products. He also ordered ICE to ensure that the holding areas are cleaned 3 times a day. Tuesday's temporary restraining order set to last for 14 days. The Trump administration has already denied allegations of subpar conditions in ICE detention centers. Today's order sends a clear message. ICE cannot hold people in abusive conditions and deny them their constitutional right to due process and legal representation, said Eunice Cho, a senior attorney at the ACLU. The New York City Comptroller, Brad Lander, called the ruling a much-needed rebuke of Trump's cruel immigration policy in a statement on Tuesday. In July, the New York Immigration Coalition released a video which was verified by CBS News New York, showing conditions on the 10th floor at the 26th Federal Plaza. On the video, it appeared over 24 people are being held together in one room. The person taking the video is heard saying, "Look how they have us here like dogs." The room does not appear to have any furniture in it. The number of people laying or sitting on towels or foil blankets on the floor. There are 2 toilets with sinks in the back of the room, only separated by half walls with no doors. One of the 2 toilets is covered with a foil blanket. The legal fight over the Manhattan holding facility comes at a time when ICE is detaining record number of people facing deportation. On Tuesday, ICE was holding nearly 60,000 detainees in detention centers throughout the U.S., i.e. concentration camps. Concentration camps. That's what we're talking about. According to the internal agency data, as part of President Trump's nationwide government-wide crackdown on illegal immigration, ICE sought to expand its detention system by bringing new facilities online, i.e. new concentration camps, brokering agreements with states and willing to convert local sites into immigration detention centers, and using military bases like Fort Bliss in Texas as deportation staging hubs. I mean, what is it going to take, folks, for a critical mass of people to wake up? I was talking about this yesterday. It's necessary and crucial that we, meaning us, you guys, continue to talk about this to as many people as possible. We have to build that critical mass of people who say enough is enough. Like we can't have this. We need to build a critical mass of people who will say enough is enough. for it to happen to rich white people. No, I mean, like, it has to spread the message, the images, the stories. We have to be on our A game to convey the severity of the situation, because I believe that not enough people are 100% aware of what really is happening here. Because effectively what needs to happen is a critical mass of people, of normal people, to realize what's happening and to say, no, this stops here. Because without that, it's... I mean, we're just kind of sleepwalking our way, right? And I mean we as like a country, as just a general we. We're kind of just sleepwalking our way through this. The complacency needs to end. Exactly, the complacency needs to end. But I think I think that the key is to have as many people aware of what's happening, and really convey the severity of what's happening. I don't think minorities will listen unless it's happening directly to them. I mean, maybe. Maybe. I'm having a... Ooh, excuse me. I'm both a natural pessimist and having a bad day, so I don't see hope for the U.S. right now. I mean, I completely understand that. I completely understand that. Meanwhile, Trump's child sex trafficker friend, Ghislaine Maxwell may be eligible for work release. Jesus. And even then, many will be in denial. Yeah, but like that's my point. Like, I mean, at what we have to, like, this is us right now. We have to come to terms with that as a country. You guys talk about Gavin Newsom, what he tweeted at Trump. Yes, we I think probably that will be on the last one of the last articles. Trump's child sex trafficker friend may be eligible for work release. President Trump's I love the framing of this. I love the framing of this. Outside the minimum security camp she was transferred to after meeting with Trump's former defense lawyer, who's now a top Department of Justice official. I mean, like, yeah, sure. Release a predator on, allow her to be out on work release. That's cool. That's cool. That is a privilege that convicted sex offenders are not permitted under the Bureau's own rules. So, I mean, like, that's it, right? Like, we don't need to go any further. We don't need to go any further than that, right? I mean, clearly, this is a very deliberate exception, because anyone else would not have been permitted, because obviously you wouldn't want a predator being allowed to work outside the prison that they're being held, right? Like, this just seems like common sense and obvious. But of course, if you're protecting predators, that's a different story. If you're protecting predators, that's a different story. This is the story that I believe Ladybug was talking about. Something smells fishy with that one. Yep. Predators protect predators. Yep. It's almost like, hey, you know, If you're in the business of trafficking children, and Trump is the president, then I guess you get special perks because, as the saying goes, predators protect predators. Nice with her being the most famous Tiddler in the world. Her safety may be at risk. Trying to look on the bright side. Maybe. But it's Ghislaine Maxwell. It's a friend of Trump. I suspect that she may have special perks and protections. Maybe. Newsom sent a letter to Trump on Monday asking the president to tell Governor Abbott and other Republican governors to abandon the efforts to draw new congressional maps. Texas and Democrats have fled in the state to protest the maps. The Texas House of Representatives was once again unable to reach a quorum on Tuesday. Texas House Speaker Dustin Burrows said the House will convene again on Friday, adding if there's no quorum by then, Abbott will adjourn the current session and call a second special session to begin immediately. So, yeah. Oh, actually, I went backwards. There it is. This is it. I suspect she just she knows too much, but that's just me. Oh, she knows. I imagine that's the truth. Governor Newsom said California will move forward with drawing new congressional maps. He said this will end the Trump presidency and allow Democrats to take control of the U.S. House of Representatives. Of course, typing in all caps like Trump. Donald Taco Trump, as many call him, missed the deadline. California will now draw new, more beautiful maps. They will be historic as they will be the end of the Trump presidency. Dems take back the House, said Newsom in a post written in the style of President Trump's occasionally all caps social media post. So yeah, it seems like California is going to is going to go through with this. I think they should. But we'll keep an eye out on this. Yeah, I've heard that that's how. I've heard that that's how it is in prison, Bad Lefty. I've heard that's exactly how it is, and I think I'm sure that it's very similar in the women's prison. All right, folks. We actually did make it. We have one more. We actually did make it through. Proponents of Medicaid cuts sit to brief House Republicans as they plot another mega bill. Here we go again, folks. Criminals have a better set of morals than rich and politicians said. Yeah. That's a low bar, too. No women, no children. An influential group of House Republicans has invited a chief architect of the hard right push for deep Medicaid spending cuts to brief the congressional aides Thursday as GOP leaders quietly map out a possible second party line reconciliation package. So again, anyone that says that Republicans don't want to cut, remember like when Marjorie Taylor Greene yelled during Biden's State of the Union, calling him a liar, even though he was completely correct that Republicans absolutely do want to cut Medicaid. And she said liar and stood up, and then nothing was done about that. But when Al Green interrupted President Trump's State of the Union address, he was censured even by his own Democratic colleagues. Remember? Yeah. So it turns out that that is the case. Republicans absolutely want to cut Medicaid. They do. They do. They do. They hate you. They hate you. And they hate the idea that poor people might get help. And they hate the idea that a poor person might get help. I'm shocked. Welcome, Globus. If you were a billionaire, would you go into politics? I mean, that's a good question. Like, would I blow all the money to try to like achieve power and like make something? I don't know. Or should I blow all the money to try to like perhaps like give it to a bunch of causes that would make the world a better place? Because $1 billion is a lot of money. $1 billion is, for all intents and purposes, like unlimited money. Like, I don't think I could even spend that in my life. If I had $1 billion, just like boom, and I stopped working, I don't think I could even spend it. Well, I would have to give it all. I would have to, I guess, assess the best ways of putting that money to work, essentially. Did you ever show David's video about $1 billion? Yeah, I did. It's quite the eye opener. Because I mean, if all of a sudden I just had a $1 billion, I mean, I could fund schools. I mean, you could do so much with $1 billion, and still be fine, and still be completely fine. Like, I would be chilling. I'd stay away from so many people. I would disappear into the world. I mean, kind of. I just wouldn't want to. Like, I would instantly be like not a billionaire. Essentially. Like, just look. Find me the best ways I can put this money to work and redistribute this capital, this money. Because I don't want it. I just want enough for me. And I'll be all right. Most people can't visualize the difference between $1 million and $1 billion. I know, and it's massive. It's obscene. It's obscene, and the fact that we have people that have hundreds of billions of dollars, like it's just obscene. Take 5 million, put it in CDs, and live off that. Yeah, exactly. There you go, and you don't have to do anything. And the rest, like, just start. Whatever you can, and wherever places that you can, to put that to work. Folks, do me a favor, please. Go check out Globus _the elder. Go check him out. Go show some love to Globus, please. Let's do it, chat. Just send me $5 to start. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, we'll be well on our way. Just $5, folks. That's all. $5, and we'll be on our way. Can you imagine? Yeah, I'll buy us an island. There you go. That's all we need. Brian Blaze, the president. Brian Blaze, the president of the Paragon Health Institute, will address a staff briefing on healthcare reform, hosted by the Republican Study Committee, according to an invitation obtained by Politico. The RSC, composed of 189 House conservatives, has been a key force for pushing for a follow-on to President Trump's big, beautiful bill that was signed into law last month. The group has invited several conservative experts to address the staffers in recent weeks, though it has yet to endorse any specific healthcare policy for any forthcoming package. Healthcare policy. Yeah, it means getting rid of Medicaid. That's the healthcare policy. The healthcare policy is effectively go f yourself. That's the Republican healthcare policy, is to go f yourself. With climate change, do not buy an island. True, true. Wait, hold on. Is that Punisher meme? Wait. No. Maybe in the mountains or something. I don't know. Buy like a nice plot of land up in the elevations, in an isolated in an isolated area. Mountains are surrounded by carbon. Too many fires. Oh, that's true. That's a good, like, actually, I guess the better question would be what would be the ideal location, right? Because you want to make sure you have sources of water. You want to make sure that you're going to have to deal with natural disasters in one way, shape, or form, another. But which one has the least natural disasters, I guess, would be the question. Boom, the big oppressive, obstreperous bill. I'm working on it. Okay. Health don't care. Exactly. The trees. Deserts don't burn like forests. Maybe. Ireland is paradise. I haven't been. Yeah, no water in the desert. It's very limited, scarce resource. Um, yeah, I guess it's a matter, because you're gonna have to roll the dice with something, right? You're gonna have to deal with something, whether it be earthquakes, whether it be wildfires, whether it be hurricanes, whether it be like tornadoes. You're gonna have to deal with something. It's just a matter of like what you want to deal with and how severe that is, and what are the chances of that. It's uncomfortably hot. Oof. Yikes. It's impossible because the best places are unaffordable. True. So I guess we just have to pick the poison, right? We have to pick our poison, right? Like what, like do we want to deal with yearly wildfires? Do we want to deal with yearly hurricanes? What are the chances? Do we want to deal with, I don't know, Tornado Alley? Do we want to deal with blizzards? With bad blizzards, bad winter weather? I don't know. Pick your poison. That was part of my recon for the camper for 2.5 years. I ended up in Minnesota because of family. I mean, it's not the worst. It's not the worst, to be honest. Twitch app sucks. Anyways, I was looking at some research a few years back. Said the safest place in America, long term from climate change standpoint, is Michigan's Upper Peninsula. I mean, that doesn't sound bad. Or Michigan, what? Upper? Oh, I see. yeah, I mean, I would be down. I would be down. Anyways, we're almost done, folks. The staff level meetings continue as House GOP leaders try to plot a way forward amid skepticism on whether another sprawling domestic policy bill is even possible, given the difficulties Republicans had coming to agreement over the first one. House leaders discussed the topics with the GOP chairs right before the chamber left for August recess, according to two Republicans granted anonymity to discuss the private gathering, tasking them with compiling lists of possible spending cuts and other ideas. Yep. What policies might be addressed in a second package is far from settled, though some House GOP factions are discussing furthering slashing Medicaid as well as possibly targeting Medicare funding. Yeah, it's not. It's coming, folks. It's coming. It's coming. Blas was allied with the conservative hardliners earlier this year in a push for significant cuts to Medicaid in the first GOP package. He was the initial author of a letter arguing for structural change to the program that Chip Roy and 19 other hard right members sent to the House of Representatives, to their House Republican colleagues. An RC spokesperson declined to comment on Thursday's briefing, but a person granted anonymity to discuss plans in advance said the meeting is set to cover enhanced tax credits for the Affordable Care Act, health insurance premiums which are due to expire at the end of the year, as well as rules governing the percentage of Medicaid expenditures covered by federal government and reimbursed to states. Yep, we're all going to be told to go F ourselves pretty soon. So that's cool. Again, just to be clear, like this, it just doesn't affect just people on Medicare or Medicaid, right? It by extension affects everyone. The briefing also covered the 340B drug discount program, proposals to even out Medicare payments for outpatient services known as site-neutral payments, plans for expanding tax-advantage health savings accounts for medical expenses, an arrangement that allows employers to reimburse employees for insurance premium and medical expenses with pre-tax dollars. Blas, who did not respond to a request for comment, served on the White House National Economic Council during Trump's first term. He and other conservative health wonks, launched Paragon in 2021, and it has rapidly influenced in GOP policy circles. Former Paragon staffers are now top health aides to Speaker Mike Johnson and President Trump. Cool. Very cool. Blas will be joined by other two Paragon officials at the RSC briefing, Demetrios Kouzoukas, who is the director of Paragon's Medicare Reform Initiative, and Gabriel Minark, the program manager. Kouzoukas, a former executive in United Health's Medicare arm, also served as chief executive for the Medicare program at the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services during the first Trump administration. Yeah, this tracks. This heavily tracks. Relax, guy, relax. Doing pretty great with the names, I must say. While Republicans reaped hundreds of billions of dollars of cuts from Medicaid in the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, they stopped short of more ambitious changes that Blas and conservative lawmakers have advocated. Now, even senior Republicans acknowledge their options for new spending offsets are drastically limited, and both Medicaid and Medicare are likely to emerge as tempting targets as talks proceed. It's clear we're scraping the bottom of the barrel for cuts. Yeah, the bottom of the barrel for cuts. You know, not cuts to the Pentagon. Not cuts to the defense budget. No. Scraping the bottom of the barrel, said one Republican with direct knowledge of the early conversations around a second GOP-only package. But any push to further slash federal healthcare spending, let alone the politically explosive issue of Medicare changes, is likely to be met with fierce pushback by vulnerable House Republicans, as well as more conservative-leaning members. Some Senate Republicans, meanwhile, are deeply skeptical a second reconciliation package would have enough support to pass, especially absent a major unifying centerpiece akin to the tax cuts embedded in the first package. Representative Mike Flood, chair of the business-friendly Main Street Caucus, recently warned that there would be severe pushback to pursuing the deeper Medicaid cuts in a second reconciliation bill. Yeah, this guy was the guy that got steamrolled by his constituents in Nebraska. Flood said his group of 83 House Republicans supported implementing Medicaid work requirements and SNAP food aid changes in the first bill savings that have now essentially been exhausted. Yeah, this is the guy that said that work will set your health care free, basically. Even House GOP leaders are unsure where Republicans will be able to majorly push through another party line package this fall. A major fight over government funding looms, as well as the expiration of ACA tax credits, which could lead to drastic hikes in some Americans' health insurance premiums, which is the Republican plan. So it's going to be really bad. Trump in the newest South Park, yeah. I haven't watched South Park in a minute and a half either, but the latest episodes definitely caught my attention. Incidentally, you should join the Discord. Oh, we're gonna pay dearly for this election. Yep, yeah, we are. I might won't fry much. Yes, work work will set your work will set your healthcare free. And speak American in this chat. It's just the it's just the original. It's just the original. Shackles will give you wings. All right, folks, it's time for me to get out of here. Is literate in Zulu, Latin, and Mandarin now. Nice. Nice. That's Red Bull. I just know English, Spanish, and I can defend myself in Portuguese. Mi no hablo español. Looney Tunes. Appreciate that, Sares. Come see Dieter and Alex on this space. Yes, this space is currently live. All right, folks, it's time for me to get out of here. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, Michael Hausser. Thank you, Heat, for modding the chat. We'll be back tomorrow at around 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate all of your support. Thank you for everything. Thank you for you guys are makes this channel go, really. Thank you. Please keep doing what you're doing. Do all the things, folks. Like, share, subscribe, comment. Spread the word. We're here Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern. Check out the show on this space, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And thank you again to the mods. Please, if you want to support the channel, check out the links. And join the Discord, folks. Join the Discord. In Portuguese is like that crazy magic flinging stuff from Doctor Strange. Another shout out, just another quick shout out before we get out of here to Globus. All right, folks. For those of you on YouTube, check out this space. It's time for me to get out of here. Thank you all. As always, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. I love you all, and I hope to see you guys in the next one tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. See ya. All right, folks, hang tight. We're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bye-bye.